Hey, Fun Master Mike, he'll play knight to e5 because now his king has an escape square. But guess what? I'm going to sacrifice my queen anyway. It is time for my favorite tactical fiesta. As we bash that piñata, what tricks has Fun Master Mike not taught you yet? Well, out comes the queen sacrifice. It's my favorite one. And I'm not just showing you these because I think they're fun, which they are, but I've actually gotten to sacrifice my queen many times in chess tournaments. It's way more common than other things like under promotion. I can think of three main reasons why giving away your queen could be a good idea. Number one, if there's a tactical reason. For example, if giving away your queen results in checkmate or results in getting the other person's queen back with a little bit of bonus. Number two, if you acquire a whole bunch of pieces that taken together have more force than the queen, not necessarily more points, but more force, that can often work in your favor. And number three, for defensive reasons. Sometimes giving away your queen is the only way to defend and can allow you to survive. Let's take a look at this position. I beat a player rated 1900 in only a handful of moves. I played the move knight c3, and if you remember back to the isolated queen pawn position, you know if that isolated queen pawn is allowed to advance, bad things happen to the other team. My opponent moved all the way back to d8, and then I played the move d5, and this knight, this poor knight, doesn't have any great squares to move to. Doesn't really want to go back. If you go to a square like a5, you're going to get trapped. There's a couple other problems with the other moves, but he chose knight to e5. Now on the surface, it looks like he's putting PP on the PP, and he is, but he wasn't ready for the queen sacrifice. That's right, you can really catch your opponent off guard. Well, if he doesn't take my queen, then what was he doing using that pin anyway? He captured my queen, and you can very easily see, I'm going to get her back. Bishop b5 check. The only legal chess move is queen to d7. So I took that queen, and the king moved over. Now I'm already up a knight. Remember that knight I captured at the beginning? Well, I could take this and make a fork, or I could just take the bishop, which is what I did. I'm up 2 pieces, and I went on to win the game really quickly against a high-rated player. Now, if we were to go back, all the way back that is, to the position where I played the move knight c3, what if his queen had chosen a different square? Well, this moves on to our second point about the queen sacrifice. If you can capture a whole bunch of pieces that taken together have more power than a queen, you can still do it. After queen to a5, I'm going to play d5 anyway. Now you might think, hey, Fun Master Mike, he'll play knight to e5 because now his king has an escape square. But guess what? I'm going to sacrifice my queen anyway. Yeah, shocking the world for a second time. Well, it didn't shock you. You're a good chess kid. You know how to play chess. Bishop to b5. His king's going to move, but look at all the material I get for my queen. I'm going to take this guy, and usually his king walks out. When I say usually, it's because this queen sacrifice has actually been played before. Then white should throw in a check, and then the king kind of has to go to this square. And then I'm going to capture his bishop. I'm going to play a move like king takes. Now, if you count the points up, I've captured 2 minor pieces and a pawn for the queen. I can take this rook whenever I feel like it. I can play a3 and b4. That would actually trap his queen. And in fact, in certain situations, I'll move my knight back, and if you can picture my knight landing on d7, that'd be checkmate with a whole bunch of minor pieces. A great example of a whole cluster of pieces working together are much better than that queen, which is pretty much off sides. Let's take a look at another example at a grouping of pieces overpowering a queen. Here's another example of Fun Master Mike giving away his queen. I was black, and I played knight takes g3. Now, you've seen this before. If the pawn takes, I win the rook, but my opponent played queen f2. Uh-oh, what to do? I just walked into a pin. If I move my knight, I lose my queen. Knight f5 doesn't work, even though it guards the queen. He'll just capture the knight. But in this position, it's well known, you can give away your queen to get a whole cluster of pieces. The first thing I capture is the bishop. That way, when he takes my queen, I get the other bishop. Now I'm threatening to fork him here. I'm going to fork him here. And so he moved his king to stop both forks, and I played knight takes c4. Now, as far as the points go, I'm not even down that much. 2 bishops and 2 pawns added up quick. That's 8. I know 8's less than 9. However, his queen's not bothering me at all, and you're going to see how all of my minor pieces come together to harass his king. He played d3, so my knight ran away. My knight's headed for the d4 square, so he stopped that. I got my other knight in the game, and very quickly, let's see how play progresses. I played f5 to open up his king, a quick trade, and I played h5. Now, if he dare takes this pawn, his queen's going to end up getting trapped. I'll leave it to you to work that out. So he played knight h3, but then my bishop gets in the game. His king ran away. My knight got in the game. I'm going to fork him on this square. So he played queen to d2. Then my rook invaded. His knight ran away. My other rook came in the game. And I think it's safe to just stop here because there's all kinds of problems I'm going to take. And when he takes back, I'm not even going to take his queen with the rook. I'm going to play knight to d3. I'm going to fork everything. Look at how alive my pieces are. Look how his pieces have been retreating. A great example of a whole swarm of pieces overcoming the queen. Well, you've seen me give my queen away a few times. Let's see how the grandmasters do it. I'm taking a little bit of a liberty with the usage of the word grandmaster because we're going to look at a Bobby Fischer game. But before he was a grandmaster, he was 13. He played what some people call the game of the century. It's hard for me to disagree. He went on to be perhaps the strongest grandmaster of all time. I'll let you debate that. But in this position, he's got big trouble. He's black. His knight's hanging and his queen is hanging. There's problems with defending both. So what does he do? He pitches the queen on the board. Bishop to e6. He says, take my queen. Now, first of all, if you take the bishop, we get to do everybody's favorite smothered checkmate. Queen to b5, king over, knight to e2, check, king over, knight to g3, double check if your king moves here. Queen e2 is queen and helper mate. And if you go back, well, I think it would still be the game of the century, right? It still has an incredibly elegant finish, but you know all about smothered mate. You've already been through that lesson. Let's go all the way back, though, and see what happened in the game. Instead of taking the bishop on e6, white takes the queen. But here comes that cluster of pieces. Bishop takes, the king runs away. Knight e2. Now we get to do the windmill tactic. That one doesn't come up very often. Our knight returns. Our knight gives another check. We can take anything we want. Let's take the bishop, discovered attack on the white queen. Then when the queen moves, the rook is still hanging, and I think by now you get the point. There is way too much material for the queen. Fischer went on to win the game, later on down the road become world champion. Let's take a look at our final idea, which is giving away the queen for defensive reasons. Black is Vasily Smyslov, another world champion. I hope you know him too. And he's got big problems here. Do you see all the white pieces teamed up on the f7 square? I hope you do. The queen's lined up. The rook is lined up. And in fact, if the knight moves, the knight could be a third piece. Now, the immediate threat is actually knight to h6 with a discovered attack on the pawn. If the pawn takes, queen takes f7 leads to back rank mate. If you don't see it, I'll let you work that out on your own. So, what does Smyslov do here? He gets rid of all of the attack by giving away his queen. Queen takes f3, and after pawn takes, there's no more trouble on the f7 pawn. So then he takes the bishop, and as so often happens, chess kids, a rook and a bishop, that's a much better combo against the queen than a rook and a knight. Here, we have a rook and a bishop against the queen, and we even have a pawn to boot, and that's a very strong pawn. That pawn is worth well more than 1 point, so I'm not even going to say black's down material. In fact, black went on to win in 4 more moves, because all he did here was very simple. He advanced his pawn, then he threatened to promote the pawn, and after the queen guarded the rook, the knight entered the game with attack, and when the queen ran away, rook takes, it was time to resign. Because if the queen took back, we would just hop our knight in, and once our knight threatened the queen, either to a3 or to d2, it's time to make our queen reappear, that's right. And black will just be ahead a lot of material. One final defensive example, and then it's your turn. It's time for yet another world champion to sacrifice the queen as black. This one is Nona Gebrselasvili. Don't know her? Well, she was the 6th women's world champion for 16 years, and the first woman to earn the Grandmaster title. So you better know her. And in this position, we can all see the rook or the queen is landing on a8, and Nona would be no more. So what did she do? She sacrificed her queen. Queen takes c1. And when white's queen takes back, suddenly the tables turn. Bishop takes b2, deflecting the queen off the back rank. If the queen takes, this rook comes down for a very elegant checkmate. So white's going to lose the rook for sure. White decided to give away the rook on a8. That allowed the queen to save herself with check. But after the king moved over, everyone knows black's better. Why do you know that? Because you already did king level 54. Queen versus 2 rooks, what do we know? Well, when the rooks have beautiful open lines, the rooks are better. She went on to win in only a few more moves. Better get to know her. More importantly, better get to know when is it okay to sacrifice the queen. Now it's time for you to do your lesson and prove that the queen is not all she's cracked up to be.